thinking about slowing down feels like, no way, I would not want to do that. And then a sign that you're in the dorsal state, which is after your system is like amped up. It's like we go, we go, we go. And it's another word
Mhm.
is burnout, right? We go, we go, we go. And then burnout looks like I don't feel like doing this anymore. Like you lose your inspiration, you lose your motivation. You would want to just probably, if you were allowed yourself, crawl up in a ball in a corner and just like stay there.
Welcome, Carly, to the Soul Sister podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm
Like,
so excited to be here.
so excited to dive into everything that you do with, regulation of nervous system and talking to the women who really need sort of that message of, you know, it's not just work, it's also balancing your nervous system at the same time. So, kind of diving right in. So many women in business are, they're building incredible things, but they're doing it from their body that is overwhelmed and under supported, or they're stuck in like survival mode. So, from your perspective, what does it really look like when a woman starts to lead her life and her business from a regulated and an aligned nervous system? And how does everything change?
Oh yeah, that's like such a you're just going right into the juicy stuff. So many things change, so many things. And I'll just preface it with like, I know this because I was that woman who was completely like overwhelmed constantly, doing all the things, trying so hard and not working, and then wondering like, what am I doing wrong? Well, you look on social media, you see people being successful, and you're like, I'm taking all of these actions. I'm like, okay, great. Like, I just did everything she said to create a reel, and I'm showing up 4 or 5 times a week on social media, and I'm working on my email list, and I'm like and I'm trying to I'm just thinking of the things that I hear all the time, like nail down my niche, and it's really frustrating. And you're like, okay, what's happening? And then the other thing that is very common with the dysregulation, right? It's almost like I feel like I have to start there first. It's like you're amping up, right? You're like building on this excitement, and you're like, okay, I'm going, going, going. And then when you don't see the results that you want and you desire, you fall into burnout because you can't sustain that excitement and that motivation. And you're looking for something external, like more clients, more money, I hear like anything to show that it's working, so I can feel successful. And so it's like you're constantly at the mercy of like the external, and that's what creates the more detailed and more in-depth nervous system dysregulation. And it also causes like a lack of creativity. Right, because, like, when you're, just attached to waiting for that next result, your system is in survival, and so, like, you lose, of creation, a creativity. You lose, like, the flow and, like, the purpose of, like, why you started your business in the first place. You lose connection to your higher executive functioning because really your brain is wired to be protecting you. So it's like you're literally, like, have, like, a saber-toothed tiger at your back while you're trying to grow this purpose driven business that feels like alignment and wealth. So when you do regulate, that stuff becomes accessible. You start to feel more spacious in your business. I like to use the word like, what's the rush, right? Like you stop rushing to grasp and to get something so that you can feel more connected because you feel it internally. So you don't have to go and get it externally. And you have access to the creative side, which I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are heart-centered, purpose-driven, and creative, right? And so you have that comes back online, your executive functioning and your higher cognitive thinking works more clearly, so you can take those tasks that you want to do. Instead of like going wide with like 20 of them, you can go deep and slow down, and you can get more clear on like who you're speaking to. Your messaging can be more nuanced. And the last thing, which is the most important thing, is your life force. You connect back with your life force. So when you show up people feel that. Your clients feel like the
No, it's
authenticity, the
so good. Like,
who you've
it's
always
super
been
powerful,
that's
and
been
I'm
shut
like,
off.
I'm sitting here inside, I'm like, I'm taking
I
notes,
just
but
said
I'm
a
also
lot
like, I'm
there.
nodding my head No,
Mm.
because
that's perfect.
I was that woman, like, exactly what you described in the beginning of, the overwhelm, doing all the things, all of that. And I wanna ask you this, so women who are experiencing what are the physical signs of a dysregulated nervous system?
Okay, it's such a good question, and it's really like a nuanced for each individual person in a way, because the way to know for sure is to notice what happens for you individually. Notice specifically that moment right before you check out. So like for me, like my shoulders were like constantly up like 3 inches from, whenever I'd like sit down to write in an email or anything, my shoulders would go up. Maybe like you realize like you spent all day checking things off your list and that you didn't even really breathe at all. Like you don't remember taking a solid breath. So they're like the small symptoms. And when you can't slow down, when like the surest symptom is like when slowing down feels very unsafe, and it's mostly for all high achievers, right? Like, cause we're so busy going and doing that even thinking about slowing down feels like no way, I would not want to do that. And then a
Mhm,
sign that you're in the dorsal state, which is after your system is like amped up. It's like we go, we go, we go. And it's another word
mhm.
is burnout, right? We go, we go, we go. And then burnout looks like I don't feel like doing this anymore. Like you lose your inspiration, you lose your motivation. You would want to just probably, if you were allowed yourself, crawl up in a ball in a corner
Mhm.
and just like stay there. And so what often happens is we override that a lot, right? We like feel like we want to slow down. Our body's giving us all these signals, but we are like, nope, I got to make money. I got to go. I got to prove. And
I think we all feel like, okay, well, if I slow down, I'm going to be called lazy or I'm not going to get anything done.
yeah,
So a lot of times we think that slowing down is actually halting us from because we have mixed information. We have mixed messages, right? People say, okay, well, you're going to have to go hustle, get it. But in what frequency are we supposed to be getting it, right? So I think it's like if we're not in the right frequency, like you said, the right energy, we're not going to be able to show up as ourselves or attract the right people in our lives because our
yeah.
energy isn't aligning with how we move in our business with that hustle mentality, right? So that's so
Yeah,
interesting.
it is. There are so many mixed messages because it's not black and white, you know? There's like a duality to everything. Like you do have to take and that's where I think it gets confusing too, because like you do have to take action, you know?
Mhm.
But it's like your action becomes different when you are regulated. You do
Mm.
take action, but the action that you take is more intentional. It's more like you're not in your brain overthinking, over analyzing, because that looks like action. Like when I hear clients being like, I'm doing all the things, I'm trying so hard, but you're really probably in your brain overthinking. Like I spent like, I really want to say like 2 years being like, I'm doing all the things. I don't really know. Like to actually sit there and be like, but what really did you do? You know, like I
Yeah.
wasn't posting 5 times a day. I wasn't emailing my list, 3 times a day. I wasn't looking at like my numbers. I wasn't seeing like how can I make this better? Those are the actions that we take when we're regulated. When we're
Yeah.
not, we still take action because we're like, we're so busy. But we're really not, because we're not doing the
Yeah.
quality.
Right. That makes so much sense because Whitley and I, we work side by side. And, she's the person who strategizes. She does she's note taking, right? As we speak, right? This girl, she note takes, right? And me, I have a million things going on in my brain. So for me as a creative, I'm a creative. So I usually, my input is here and then my output sometimes feels scattered because I have no clear direction of where I'm going. So like you say, "Oh, I post." You can post to post, or you show up just to show up, or you don't really have any real plan. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So what you're saying is like really like holding yourself back a little bit and like really being intentional with the energy that you give out, right?
Yeah, I love what you were saying too. It's like this, and I think it's so important to repeat that because it's like slowing down feels like we're going to be behind, right? Like, and we don't have, it's like we don't have time to slow down. But like, if you can just remember, like slowing down, you slow down to speed up. You slow down
Yeah.
so that you can actually move. But like something else you said too, because I've had a clients who are like, okay, I'm in alignment. I think alignment can be a tricky word because it's like, okay, number one, what is alignment? And number two, it's easy to think that alignment means ease. And so then it's like, if we think that we want to be in alignment, it's almost like we're only like doing the thing. It catches us because like we're only doing the things that feel like ease, right? Feel aligned. But alignment is actually doing uncomfortable things too, and that's the difference. It's like, it still doesn't feel very easy because it's uncomfortable to take action. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It's because you tell the difference between that being not aligned or just, like, the fear of the challenge of doing something new?
Yeah, that's the sticking point right there. You know, it's like a line could be like, you want to do this, like it feels like this is the way I want to go. Like I can sense I want to put this offer together or something. And then all of a sudden, like you don't want to be on social media. Or like as an example. I'm not saying you have to be on social
Yeah,
media, but a lot of times I hear that, right? Like I just don't want to be on social media.
yeah,
I hate it. I don't like it. Okay, well, alignment might still be social media, right? But you have
mhm,
to, but there's the fear there probably of like being judged, doing it right, saying the right thing. So those are the things you still have to move through. It could still be aligned.
mhm. Yeah, I hear you, and I think a lot of women face that where, they're busy in their business.
It's a lot. We have to be the marketing, selling, service. Well, for what I would recommend too, for service based entrepreneurs who are like solopreneurs, I recommend that you do the social media as an edge. Like you play around, like with what would it be like what fears come up, like what are the thoughts that come up around it, and then decide that you don't want to do it because we like cut ourselves off before we even try. And like I have clients who do that, and they're like, oh, you learn so much about yourself. You learn how to speak to your clients. When you show up and you do that, you learn what your clients' problems are, how to speak directly to what they're experiencing. You learn what their specific desires are and the results they want to get. You learn how to communicate and position like your offer as a way to help them. You learn how to show up in spite of the chance of disappointment, of rejection, of people making comments. So you learn so much and you grow so much, and people want to see you anyway.
When somebody starts to regulate their nervous system, okay, and say they spend that time to start to really practicing the rest and the nervous system regulation tools and things over time, I guess, is it something that you have to continue to do? Like, like when you go to the gym, it's like working the muscle, but once you build the muscle, you still have to go to the gym to maintain the muscle. Is nervous system regulation the same way? Or is it more of like you do it one time, you spend time doing it, and then it's just there? It's like muscle memory and you don't. Do you know what I mean? What I'm asking?
I do. I 100% know what you mean.
Okay. So, what are some of the things that women can do to, I guess, if they wanted to begin that journey at home on their own to start to do some of that nervous system regulation?
Yeah, I teach interoceptive awareness, which is looking at and paying attention to what's happening inside yourself, the internal state, and creating like finding a felt sense of what's happening in your body. And so a lot of times when we're dysregulated, we don't even know
Mhm.
like we don't really know what's happening from our neck down. You know, it's I'll be like, oh, like what does it feel? I don't know. We don't pay attention to like, is our stomach growling? Is our heart beating? And so a lot of times I'll start my clients with such basic things that it's like, okay, especially for high achievers, they're like, no, give us something complicated, right? Like it's got to be hard. It's like so basic that it's almost like we can resist that. But starting to pay attention, starting to notice, like, when you're taking a shower, notice the water, like, trickling down your back. When you go outside for a walk, notice how it feels the maybe like that connection to nature. When you go to write an email, notice if your shoulders are up high. It's like these small little things can go so far. You can start tuning back in to themselves.
So it's like paying attention to your body, connecting to your intuition as well, because it's like you're also living in the present. So you're if you talk to your body can answer questions for you at the same time, right? So if you have some dilemma, say you had this client and they weren't the one for you and you felt it, but you disregarded it, you avoided it.
Yeah.
Your body can tell you whether that feels good or bad. So it's like getting used to paying attention to your body.
Right, because that's such a great point because really we can only access intuition when we're feeling safe. So safety has to come first. Safety in the body comes first, and that's why like then trust.
And trust.
Right. Safety first, then trust. Then we get to feel that nudge or that hit, right? Or that impulse, and we follow it and we start to trust that. But without even noticing what's going on in the neck down, how do you
Right.
even know what your
Right.
intuition is saying? That's why it's so, we walk around like all indecisive and over analyzing because we're up
Yeah.
here and cognitively so much. And then bringing it along the lines of energetics, it's like, that's why manifesting doesn't work up here, like in the head, right? It works. You have to have a felt sense of what it feels like to be in your beach house or make six figures and have clients come in. If you can't access that from the neck down, because that's what manifestation is, right? It's like making it real by being that person, being in it first. But we can't do that if we don't know what a felt sense of if we don't have the felt sense of what's happening in our body when we're dysregulated, then regulating, and then being able to be like, "Oh, this is ease. This is
It's like
joy.
you
This is
have to
abundance."
feel safe. I think like nervous system
Yeah.
regulation is very tied to your ability to feel safe in whatever it is that you're experiencing, right? Or doing. And I think for a lot of
Mhm.
women, I mean, there can be many different factors as to what leads to a dysregulated nervous system. I think probably a lot of the planet is operating from a dysregulated nervous system given the society that we live in. But
Yeah.
I also feel like I can really relate to a lot of what you're speaking on, Carly, because I'm very much high achiever.
Well, one thing that I would say is, like, take the timeline away. That's, like, a really big one. Like, there's oftentimes we think we should have been there by now, and we should be there, or, like, we put this arbitrary timeline on what we think we should have had, and then we judge ourselves from this random but we don't know. You look online and you think everybody has it easy or they've gotten there, and then you're like, "I'm behind everybody else." I mean, I see this from, like, people who started to seven-figure earners. So it's, like, really paying attention to this timeline and you comparing yourself to somebody else's journey and just, like, letting it be a journey. Like, I think of it as like a road trip. You wouldn't just like want to go to California, right? You wouldn't just want to be in Texas. Part of the fun is the road trip, It's packing your suitcase, it's thinking about what to wear, it's looking at what restaurants you want to go to. It's like taking the scenic view, it's putting on the tunes, it's bringing people that you love around you. It's like make that be the fun of it instead of trying to rush to this finish line. It's the fastest way to slow you down. It's the
Yeah.
fastest way to slow you down.
Yeah, and a lot of women do that. They're like, "I gotta get here now," and then they start going push, 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 control, 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 and so they're like, "Well, I'm hustling. I'm getting all the things done. I'm doing all the right things," like you said, but then at the end of the day, it's like they're not dealing with that inner stuff that they need to deal with first, which is like, you know, being good enough, feeling high vibration. And I think a lot of times, like I used to be in that hustle mentality too, right? It's just like on to the next, on to the next. And I feel like I'm doing something and
Mm.
I feel like I'm important and I feel like, I'm successful because the books told me to.
Yeah, it's like a badge of honor.
Exactly. And right now it feels like do you find that there's a change in the women you speak to about what they used to believe versus what we're all talking about now, which is there's more of this like direction of less hustle and more flow and the femininity that comes with this because we're meant to be feminine too, right?
Mhm.
We're not always supposed to be masculine. We're women. And so that balance between feminine and the masculine has been kind of tested recent like, I feel like a lot of people are talking about it now. It's like, we aren't meant to be doing that. We're never meant to be hustling that hard. We're meant to flow. We're women. We're feminine, you know?
Mm,
So what is
yeah.
your take on the women you're speaking to? Like, are they saying, "My mind is kinda totally shifting into this, like, that didn't serve me, but I wanna do it differently now?"
Yeah, and you could say it all the ways, but again, it comes back to the nervous system because when it's a wiring, right? It's like
Right.
a patterning. So you can want that and desire that for
Yeah.
yourself, but if your system is still doing the loops of like it's safer to move than it is to
Right.
stay, that's where that comes in. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so it's really taking charge of your nervous system so that you can practice because it's not a overnight thing where you just like say, I'm safe. I'm not going to move right now because it's uncomfortable to stay still. A lot of people are like, no, I have to move. I'm one of those people where I'm like, if I'm sitting for too long, I feel like I need to be doing something, but I have no motivation or no energy. So it's like,
Listening to your body.
when do you know, right? Is there a so you go into your body and there's techniques probably that
Hmm.
you can do. If you do those, like, is there like I know take away time, take away outcome, take away all of that, but is there like a feeling of like, all right, I've rested enough. Now I need to go? Does that look like inspiration? Does that look like, all right, I've rested enough. Now I need to move? Like, what is the
Yeah.
feeling? Yeah, what does that feeling feel like when you know it's time to go? When you know that you have to take your next step because you feel it. There's
Yeah, yeah,
something.
yeah. Yeah, that's that intuitive knowing, right? For each person that might look a little different, but it feels like lightness, for me,
Right.
it's like lightness. It feels like an impulse, like I almost get this. It doesn't feel scattered and hard or overwhelming. It feels like an impulse, but a lot of times those are the impulses that we don't actually take
Yeah.
because that's a lot of times what happens. We, like, get an impulse, but we're really not listening to that impulse because it's scary, right? Like, as an example, like, let's just say you wanted to do a video on social media, right? And your intuition is like, I have a message. I have something to say that I would love to say, right? But that's when we don't do that. Instead, we go do the laundry or wash the next dish or do the busy work. We're doing
Mhm.
everything. It's still like we're doing, but we're doing everything but the thing that's actually going to
Right.
side clients and make money. So,
Yeah.
I have, like, a little phrase I've coined for that, which is soothe and move. So it's
Okay.
like when you have that impulse to do something, to take that's gonna look probably scary and risky. That's when you wanna soothe your nervous system and move. So it's like kind of treating your nervous system like it's like a little like your brain and your body like it's a toddler, we've got this. Like there's a reason why this feels scary, right?
Mm.
We're protecting our somewhere inside of us, we're protecting ourselves from being rejected or putting ourselves out there and feeling sad or disappointed if nobody watches it or somebody makes a comment and saying like we've got this like it's like tuning into your future self too like yeah like that's okay I can handle this, right? And moving with that, and that's where the embodiment piece comes in, where you kinda, like, ground yourself, maybe
Mhm.
put your feet on the floor, maybe get a weighted blanket on your and put it on your lap, and you take that action anyway.
And there's probably different modalities of regulating your nervous system, right? Is there, like, different techniques, different, like, some people do breath work, some people would do what's that called?
There's that tapping,
Yes,
EFT.
I do, I like that,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
it works for me, like, I do it in probably 5 minutes, right, when I feel
yeah.
something, and I should do it more regularly, and I think that's probably the key, but I feel afterwards, I feel lighter, and what is that doing? Like, what are those modalities really doing in our body when we tap or when we breathe.
Breath is energy. EFT is tapping to release energy. So it's all of it's just moving energy. And even like what I was talking about, the interoceptive awareness, noticing when we notice things, we move the energy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So all just like breath is like release. It's all like the releasing and any of that stuck trauma that's in our bodies is really what what's all doing, because the point is creating space.
Yeah.
Right? When we
Yeah.
create space, that's when we open up our capacity to receive, to move, to have our intuition drop in. It's
Mhm.
all energy.
And Reiki is another, I find that that's also energy. It's a type of like moving energy. So if your energy is stuck in one area, your body will hold it there and it could create illness. It could create like more stuckness in your life, right? So it's like moving that energy in a way. So it's kind of similar, I think, like moving your energy around your body so you can like ground and flow and breathe. And breathing is like probably the most important because I find myself breathing right now with this episode because I feel like you're talking about it. So I'm reminding myself that I need to take a breath, and we hold our breath way too much. I didn't
Mhm.
realize how much I hold my breath. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, you tighten up when you said the email or
Yep.
when something feels uncomfortable.
Embracing. Yeah.
Right. So if somebody's going through something tough or a tough decision like that, they should immediately focus on their body, right? Focus on their breath, focus on
Well, sometimes
grounding.
when things are really tough, breath I feel like isn't that necessarily that easy to do.
Mm,
So like I would even like go before that go back to just noticing. Like it's like so basic.
notice.
Like we want these fancy things, these fancy solutions. It's like no, just like bring yourself back to being aware of what's happening.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. Yeah. I think like
But
everything you're saying is like
it's a practice
so
because that's all
yeah, it's a
it took
practice.
me a
Yeah.
long time, I'm not gonna, like, say this is, like, a quick thing. I mean, it can be for some people. I've seen my clients go faster than I have through it, but, like, for me, it took, like, a good 2 years of, like, working with a practitioner to
Uh-huh.
co-regulate for me to
Yeah.
move my trauma. I had a lot of anxiety,
Yeah.
in my past, and so, like, it took a while for
Well,
me, but that's okay, and I'm still
yeah.
practicing.
It's a never-ending practice, like you said, yeah, it's
Yeah.
every day you have to be more and more aware of this is because you have evidence, right, that it works, and in those times of chaos, in those times of
Yeah.
overwhelm, in those times of burnout and indecisiveness, your body is always here, and so it's like you're saying it's like you don't feel safe because you're not regulated. Your body isn't regulated, your body doesn't feel safe, you don't feel safe. So it's like really asking yourself, being aware of that and giving yourself grace and saying, I'm okay. I'm safe.
Mhm.
I'm protected.
Yeah.
And that's what I do with the EFT is I'm always like, I'm protected. I'm protected. Like everything's okay. Like even if somebody is struggling with, say, money, like lack of money or
Oh,
like
that's a big one with
it's a big
entrepreneurs, a
topic, right?
huge one. Yep.
Yeah. So what do you see in women that go through that? That's probably the biggest one, I think, because so many women say, "Well, if I could knew I would have millions of dollars tomorrow doing it, I would do it." But it's that fear, right?
Money comes up for like money. One of my 2026 goals is to I have like a lot of ideas about like a membership around money, because I feel like if the money piece is just like the first thing that blocks entrepreneurs, right? It's on money. It's the grasping at money. It's the needing money. It's the holding on to money for dear
Yeah.
life. Like
Yes.
all of it. I've gone through all of it too, by the way. So it's like, so this is like, we could have like
Yeah.
a whole other topic on money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is all related too, because guess what? Money's energy too.
Money is energy. And that is something we talk about so much because people that have left their 9 to 5s or people that have like quit their jobs or lost their jobs and they're counting on the next thing as their big dream goal to make money. They're like pushing they're pushing and pushing and pushing because they have this lack mentality around money. And so if they're like, "Well, I can't stay still. I've gotta keep going because otherwise I'm not gonna make the money." And so that probably creates more of that, like, dysregulated nervous system where you're pushing and pushing and you're taking things that don't even align with you, or
Totally.
people or clients that don't align with you, right?
I've done
So
all of it.
yeah, it's like urgency. It feels like a
Yes.
urgent
Yes.
thing. Yeah. So, do you help women like that if they're like, they're going through this, but they're also like, "Oh my god, it's a fight or flight mode." Like, yeah,
A lot of it is like, there's like a worthiness, right? Like, it's like
worthiness.
we wanna prove to ourselves, to others, we can do this, that we've got this, that we're successful, and we think money's the thing that's going to
Yeah.
be what it is, and, um, it's not.
No, because it could be gone tomorrow, right? And we like anybody could lose their money tomorrow, but then what do you have if you're just,
And you
you
don't
know
realize it, but you're like, "Okay." Like, I hear clients,
Yeah.
"Okay, once I get my first client,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna feel I'm gonna
Right.
feel successful, and
Yeah.
once I hit 6 figures, I'm gonna feel successful,
Yeah.
and just, like, you don't realize it, but the carrot just keeps dangling in front, and it keeps moving.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it really does. Like, it's like on to the next, on to the next. Okay, I've done this, now what? But it's like living in the moment, I think, feel like I have to remind myself and my body too to live in
Mm,
the moment. Because if I'm thinking about tomorrow and I get there, I'm going to be like, well, I need to get to the next thing too. Or if I
yeah.
don't get there, I'm going to be like fight or flight or like feeling unsafe and also feeling shame or unworthiness about myself because I didn't get there. And a lot of times women are pushing, pushing, pushing on social media, online, with their businesses because they think that's what is expected of them to make money. But there's so much beauty in just like sitting and being grounded with yourself and trusting that your flow matters. You probably get more done if you
Ugh.
were settled in your nervous system than if you were pushing from an empty cup.
100%, 100. People say like, "Oh, it's so social media takes so long, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "No, it doesn't, actually." Like, if you were actually, like, detached
Yeah,
from your phone, went out and took a
true.
walk, and then
Prioritize.
and
Yeah.
then went back in, grabbed your phone, and actually just said what was on your heart, it would take, like, 3 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, we're doing the scrolling, and then we're
Yeah.
comparing, and then we're overthinking,
Yeah.
and you think about it, like, everything on social media too is telling you, like, "No, you have to, like, buy this strategy, right? You gotta do this thing." Like, you're not
It's
on the
noise. It's noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically noise, and I think when you take away that pressure of showing up because they told you how to, and if you just feel it and be like, "You know what? I feel rested today. I feel grounded today. I'm just gonna post it." Those are the videos that hit.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the videos that hit because you did it in a space of energetic flow and your energy was high, your vibration was high. And I found that with many of my things is that I just post not knowing what will happen with this, no expectations, didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden you see all this traction. And I'm like, there's something there with the energy that people are
Yeah.
feeling from you showing up online. They can feel it through the screen, even though they're not physically in your presence. They kind of feel it through the screen and they kind of know you too. People that are highly receptive can feel it stronger because they're aware of it. But people that are unconsciously watching you, they're not drawn or drawn to you for a reason. It's all energy, right? When we watch TV and we watch certain people, I'm like, I'm just drawn to that person for
Yeah.
whatever reason, right? But it's
Yep.
all in their energy. So
Well, what a lot of times people do is, like, in terms of strategy, because there's gonna be somebody out here who's listening to this and like, "But what about
yes,
the strategy?" Like,
yes,
what about strategy? Like, because it that and it there
yeah.
is something, there is strategy involved. But, like, let's just take messaging, for example, right? Or, like, speaking to, like, specifically your content. What most people do is they'll go online and they'll try to do the messaging before they've done what you just shared, right? Before they know how to feel safe
Okay.
showing
Yeah.
up, right? And so that's where it screws with them. Like, I kinda created this concept where it's like a funnel, and the first thing you do is you learn to do what you were saying, right? People go backwards. They try to do the strategy before they feel comfortable showing up as themselves, and that's where it's like, they don't know who their selves is.
Right.
Their selves, I don't even know if that word
Themselves is,
grammatically
yeah.
right. Right. So it's like first do what Sherry just said. And once you feel comfortable getting on screen,
Yeah.
only then layer in like, let's get more specific. Let's
Yeah,
get
you're so right, and social media is strategy, and a lot of times people think it's just posting to post, right? But when you look at your bio persona and you look at who you are at the core and how you wanna show up and your content pillars, what are you gonna share? What are your ideal clients' pain points?
yeah, that
Like,
stuff you get
all
in your
work
head if
in.
you're not
That's
already
strategy.
regulated. Yeah.
Exactly. So you regulate, you get that all strategy down on paper, then your nervous system can feel safe because you've got a plan. You've got a
Yes. You're not
strategy.
like spinning out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people miss that because they think, yeah, well, I have to post, right? So at the end of the day, like if you're posting from I have to or I should, you're not reaching your ideal client. You're not reaching
Totally.
your customers that are attracted to you because at the end of the day, they're not buying your service, they're buying you. And we know that, right? Like everybody talks about it, like they're buying you, they're buying you. But what does that really mean? Well, it means just that. It means you, your
Yeah.
authenticity, right? Your
Exactly.
energy, and if you don't have a energetic cup, how are you gonna show up online? So
And
and
that's what separates you from everybody else, right? Like we think,
exactly.
what do I have to do to stand out? You just have
Yeah,
to be you.
exactly. And you're doing a good job at that, Carly. Like, you're really, like I feel like you're showing up that way with people. People know exactly what you do. They're like, "I want Carly's help," you know what I mean? So, like, you're putting that practice into work as well. It's like you're following all these the things that you preach. You're practicing what you preach, right? So when we as entrepreneurs do that, people trust us more.
You don't
So
have to
do
be
you
like a
have
perfect image.
yeah. So you have anything that, you would like to listeners to take away today that they can apply today? Because they're on this podcast for a reason, they're listening for a reason. So they're probably looking for some kind of like next step, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, one
yeah.
thing I want to say is we kind of covered a lot.
Yeah.
So I would not want the person listening to be like, "Okay, this is, like, inspiring," but then feel overwhelmed with, like, it feels like a
True.
lot, because it
Yeah.
does, because, everything we said was so important here, and it's all important, and it's all, like, a little bit, like, nuanced, but it all goes together.
Mhm.
So, like, I would say, like, again, I'm just gonna repeat, like, this is a journey, right? This isn't like you can still make money and sign clients without having all of this figured out.
Mhm.
I think that's really important. Like, I've been doing this for 7 years, trying to figure this all out, honestly. And
Mhm.
I still made money through all of it. I still sign clients. So don't think of it like you gotta check off all these boxes in order to succeed. Let it be like, I always think of entrepreneurship as like a spiritual journey. Like, let it just
Mm,
be like you get to learn more about yourself. And with every hardship, with every obstacle is an invitation to
yeah.
say, like, what can I how can I feel into this next level? What can I do next? How can I shift? What's one thing I can shift?
Right. What's one thing I can shift? And I think you covered so much of that already. So I think that they can go back and listen. But what I took away from it was the awareness first of your body.
Yes, 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 yes. Good,
Yeah. I
Sherry.
think that is number one that I took
Yes.
away, that if I feel stressed or anxious or like I feel like I need to go or push, that I sit with my body first and I listen to it. And I feel, like you said, feel the rain, feel the breeze or feel anything. Like, just listen to your body and ask it what it wants, because you said manifestation doesn't come from up here. It comes from your body. It comes from you feeling it. It comes from you like putting yourself in that space of
Yeah,
like creation. And when we're tired and we're run down and we're overwhelmed and burnt out, our body can disconnect from
yeah,
us and our minds take over a lot of times, like overthinking and just frustration, right? Like For example, today, Whitley's not on the rest of the podcast because the technology went down, right? But it was like, okay, well, what's the reaction to that? Like, how do
Mm.
I regulate the nervous system? Because those are things we can't control in our lives, right? And it's just like, okay, well, maybe this is teaching me something that I need to like just, it's not urgent. It's not gonna make or break our lives. And we're still getting the message across. And Sherry's here to take over, like looking at all the good
Mhm.
things within what's happening right now versus going to the worst case scenario outcomes a lot of times we do as women or like, well, if I
Uh-huh.
fail, if I lose this money, oh my God, the bills and it's all energy, like you said, like everything is energy. So,
Yeah, and
which
I have one more thing to say.
go ahead.
You just reminded me of something that I think would be really helpful. Also, like, noticing when you are in a spacious, when you've created space, what drops in. That is so
Yeah.
huge, because like, what I think that helped me the most is, like, realizing when I went out for a walk, I actually had a great idea, right? Or I was in the shower and a thought came in. I followed through with it. It led to this. When I was out enjoying my life, shopping with my friend, I came home and I went to, you know, check my email to do something and a client consult came in. You'll just start to notice that in the times of being more spacious, that's when things drop in and then you'll be like, I get it. And then you want more of it.
Yeah, and I think the same goes for I agree with you 100%. That happens all the time to us. But like the other thing is when you say no and you take that space for yeses as well.
Yeah, that's so good too. Yeah.
That is so huge because I feel like your intuition is telling you if something's a no, but sometimes we avoid it because of fear, because we will lose that money or that client, right? But like it's like when we say no, we're opening up more yeses and probably a bigger yes.
Yeah.
And it
I
makes you
love
feel
that.
good. It's a relief. If your body I feel like when my body says, "That's a relief," I said, "No." Like,
A
why?
lot of my clients want relief. If I'll say like, "What are you gonna get? What is the feeling that you're gonna feel when a client signs or you hit that money goal?" Oftentimes they say relief. So and then I say, "Well, let's look for a relief now," right? So like,
Right.
yeah, like cultivating relief inside of you now. We run a mastermind for women who are entrepreneurs, service based healers, creatives who want to make money in their business, doing the things that they love to do. And so, in that, we combine the nervous system regulation with the energetics, with the strategy. So, we combine
Perfect.
it all. Yeah.
Wow. I think that's where it starts. That's where success starts. Is from that regulation, is from us. We're all going into a new era, I think, like a lot of women are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we need more of these conversations. We need more of this kind of like real life guidance versus this business side. The business side is great, but this part feels like it's what's going to get us to that level. It's
And sustain it.
and sustain it and be consistent with it. It's like
Yeah.
practicing it, like you said, practicing it in our lives. And sometimes we forget because we're so busy. And then it's hard to get back down to earth.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today. And I know Whitley's not here right now because she had technical glitches, but we thank her
We
for
missed you, Whitley,
participating. Yeah. And
in
I know she had
spirit.
lots to say, but she just couldn't be here. But want to thank you for coming on and spreading your wisdom and your experience through this. And we love the work that you're doing. And we think
Thank you
that
so much.
more and more women need it. So we're going to put your info in the show notes. So anybody that is interested in learning more about what you do and more about nervous system regulation, they can pop onto your socials.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Carly.
All
Have
right.
a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye,
You
Soul
too.
Sisters.
Bye.
Bye.